I note that both you and the Prime Minister said there's no election in the offing, but the announcement in and of itself seems to run very counter to what Mr. Carney talked about during the Prime Minister talked about during the election campaign. He drew a distinction between his approach to the economic growth and what he criticized the Trudeau government, of which you were a part, their approach to economic growth, which he identified as just through immigration and population growth and government spending. What you announced yesterday is more than $11 billion of additional government spending that nobody from your government has said how you will pay for it. I imagine because you're not introducing a new tax or something to that effect, or described other cuts elsewhere, that it will come from additional borrowing. That runs counter to what Mr. Carney said during the election campaign, what you yourself have said on many instances since then. How are we to infer from that anything other than this is about politics and the possibility of an election?
Well, I don't think Mr. Carney ever ruled out measures to help vulnerable Canadians, and I don't think most Canadians think that helping out the 12 million people who get GST rebates, now grocery and essential goods benefit, will object to that. We saw post-pandemic, Vassy, a spike in food prices, and this is meant to help with that. Inflation largely tamed. That doesn't mean people feel inflation is largely tamed, and that's partly due to things like oranges, coffee, bananas, things where supply chains have been affected, where prices have gone up more than the rate of inflation. The Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, felt strongly that at this point in time where Canadians, many Canadians are struggling with those food prices, that we had an obligation to come in. I don't think that approach has ever been ruled out, but the thing that has not changed is that we know we have to grow the top line in Canada. We have to achieve growth. We have to create jobs. We have to protect the jobs we have that are threatened by trade measures, punitive trade measures coming from south of the border. But we have to create more jobs. We have to build big projects. We have to get things done. We do that every day. We wake up, put on our boots, and try and build big projects and create big opportunities for Canada every day. That we will not waver from.
But respectfully, Minister, the Prime Minister did criticize the former Prime Minister for too much government spending. And he had, food prices were extremely high, 30% higher during the election campaign than they were five years prior. There were no promises made about $11 billion of additional spending. I am not in any way taking away from the very, very specific need, as you outline it, of Canadians. I know it. I hear it every day as well. But this is not exactly what you promised to do during the campaign, add $11 billion extra dollars to a deficit, was it?
Look, what we were elected to do is to be sensitive to the needs of Canadians, many of whom feel anxiety because whether it's threatened trade measures or other things, or whether it's simply increased costs due to food inflation. We're here to help with that. Any responsible government must be here to help with those kinds of pressures. We have an existing mechanism, a tool, already built into the tax system in the form of the GST rebate. It's easy to build upon, and it's easy to justify, in my view, in a world where food inflation, imported food particularly, has seen supply-related shocks, and which means that food has increased more than the overall CPI. That is something that we've been giving a lot of thought to over the last few years. They're giving a lot of thought to that, by the way, in the UK, throughout Europe. And Mr. Trump is giving a lot of thought. You hear him talk about affordability. Japan going through significant cost pressures on that. This is a worldwide phenomenon. This is our response to that.
Okay, I will leave it on that note. I'm out of time. Always appreciate your time, Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vassy.